Hi, I'm Arthur Moats, and I'm here to talk to you about the Moats theory of life and the amazing Father's Day sale that we have going on, ladies and gentlemen. So, leading up till Father's Day, if you purchase Moats Theory of Life, my new book, you can buy one and get the next one half off. I mean, this is a chance to help your father become a better person of impact and inspiration. You do not want to miss this opportunity. So with that being said, moatstheory.com is the place to go. You do not want to miss out, baby. What's up? It's the Arthur Moats Experience with Deke. I'm Arthur Moats, and that's my main man, Deke.
What's up, bro?
Man, I'm excited, bro. It's always some fun stuff going on when we hop on the podcast. Even stuff that we're not even like scheduling to talk about on our podcast. It still is like, dude, I feel like when we turn on the mic, I'm like, you remember this? Did you know this was going on right now? Because when we had that conversation about the NBA last podcast, if they should return or not. And literally, I think it was a day or two later, I found out that they didn't even ask the players. They just assumed that all the guys wanted to go down there and play. All the guys wanted to do it. So when they put out that big vote, oh, it's 29-1 or whatever the vote was, they never really went and checked with the guys.
Okay.
Yeah. So now you're hearing all these things come out about guys not wanting to play for various reasons. Some are talking about the protest element of it. Some are actually talking about the requirements that they're going to have them doing in terms of being in the bubble. And now they said they have a hotline. So if you see somebody leaving the bubble, you can call and tell on them.
I saw the meme on that.
Oh,
it was LeBron. It was LeBron on the phone. I swear it was Giannis and Kawhi. I saw them leave. I saw them leave.
Between them were obviously the D-Lo memes all the time too.
Man.
I was just like, yo, this is crazy. But to think like they're trying to do all this, I'm like, every time I get hope that it's coming back, this type of stuff is going on. I'm like, you're making me lose hope right now, man. Like, it's crazy.
It's getting a little messy.
And they said they have until I think it's next week.
You sent a picture to me. It was 4 or 5 days, right?
Yeah, 4 or 5 days to officially decide.
It might be next week. It might be longer than 4 or 5 days. But yeah, I think it is next week. They're gonna they're gonna have the decision of, all right, am I playing or not?
Yeah.
And then you inform the team, and I guess you're just not playing. You're not going down.
Dude, it's crazy right now, though, man.
That is wild, dude.
Something that we thought was already done, something that we thought was so simple. Oh, yeah, everybody voted. And it's like, y'all didn't really ask these guys to vote. Like, this is nuts. I mean, imagine, obviously you have your opinion. You're going to say what you want to say, right? So, for example, if you really wanted to do it, but I just went on there and say, hey, man, I talked to everybody. Everybody said they don't want to go. You're like, bro, hold on, man. I didn't vote that. Like, I didn't say that at all. Like, that's crazy to me.
How much of the players union, players representation had an input in this?
I'm not even sure.
You know what I mean? Because I know you could talk about individual players for each team, but then there is representation in that way. I wonder how much they were involved in it.
Well, because we talked about that with the CBA for the NFL and how they decided to change. Instead of going team by team, they went individual votes because it's a difference. As a team, I mean, if you got two leaders, if LeBron's your leader on your team and LeBron says, hey, look, man, we're doing this, that's the vote for the Lakers. Seriously. I mean, it's no different. Like if Ben would have said, hey, well, Ben was never actually our rep, but Pouncey was our rep. So if Pouncey was like, yo, we want to do this is what we're going to do. A lot of guys would be like, all right, well, that's what we're doing. We're not really going to have a say-so in this whole thing.
Yeah, if you have 2, 3, 4, 5 guys that are the leaders there.
Yeah, so when you're talking about asking guys individually, well, now it's a little bit different. Now you can get some people that instead of it being just the solidarity of all of us wanting to do this, it might be only 3 of us that want to do this, and the rest of us are like, I'm good on that, baby. So I think it's gonna be interesting to see like how this thing plays out, man. And like you said, this wasn't even what we wanted to talk about. It just, it's so hot right now, though, man. It's hot.
It is buzzing, but apparently we were talking off the mic. Apparently I'm missing all this stuff.
Yeah, man.
I'm just...
My man Deke is unplugged all the way.
Because you say something off the mic, I'm like, what? This is happening?
Like, for real? That's really going on right now? I'm like, where have you been? The last 24 hours, the last 48 hours, Deke, this is happening, baby.
Like, I think the only reason I know about some of this stuff is because you sent it to me. Be honest with you. And I see it, and then... It's just, I guess it's just there. I know it's there, but I'm not hearing the constant reaction to it and the back and forth. So I don't know what, I'm in La La Land over here right now, I guess.
Hey, it's all good, baby. I'm not tripping. But on a positive note, some of the stuff that I have sent you, that we're going to talk about today is dealing with the Colin Kaepernick thing. Roger Goodell, so he got a lot of flack the first time he went out and did the video apology in terms of, hey man, I should have supported the players. I should have listened, because he never said Colin Kaepernick's name. He never directly addressed him. So recently he dropped another video. They're still getting on him because you could tell like he's reading something. Like he's in his like in that little like living room, and literally the camera's facing here, but his eyes are down the whole time. He's reading verbatim whatever it's saying right there. So people were getting on like, "Yo, this doesn't really look genuine." Like you can tell you're reading. It's a little different when you trapping out the house. Come on, Goodell, man, you got to get with the times, baby. If you're gonna read it, you better put the paper up a little bit higher so you can still be eye level. I'm just telling you from personal experience, all right? But in his new video, he talks about how he wants Colin Kaepernick back in the league. He feels that he should get a job, and he is strongly encouraging organizations to sign him, which was huge because we know it took a lot for him first off to even go that route, because by saying that, you are kind of implying that, hey, there was some blackballing or some non-ethical things taking place prior to this situation, because nothing has really changed outside of Colin Kaepernick and his ability. Now it's just, all right, we understand what his cause was from a global standpoint, and he has a lot more support around it, whereas back then when he first started it, he didn't have the same type of support. So, you know, NFL doing what NFL does, they make a list of the top 5 landing spots, potential landing spots for Colin Kaepernick. So I want to make sure I don't mix this list up. So to make sure I don't mix the list up, I put it on my computer. All right.
I'm ready.
Number 1 on the list, the Baltimore Ravens. All right. Okay. Number 2 on the list, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah.
Number 3, the New England Patriots. Number 4, your Pittsburgh Steelers. And at number 5, the Houston Texans. That was the top 5. And we're going to dive into that. But even before the list came out, well, actually the list came out, but I think it was today, actually, Anthony Lynn, head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers, he said that Colin Kaepernick is on his workout list. He hasn't brought him in for a workout yet, but he's on the list to come in and work out because he feels that you can never have enough good people waiting in the wings to come on. He did say that he was very happy with the 3 quarterbacks that he had. We kind of were like, all right, I can give you credit on 2 of them, Tyrod and Justin Herbert, but you miss me now with was it Easton Stick? That's his last name, right? From North Dakota State. I'm like, hey, wait a minute now, baby. Wait a minute, okay? But he did say that, you know, he is on his workout list, and he said that any team that doesn't have him at least on the workout list is crazy. So this is interesting. I said, man, where was this energy a year ago? Or the year before that, but hey, that's neither here nor there. It's neither here nor there. It's neither here nor there, because I know Pete Carroll said he was too good to be a backup, which is why he didn't bring him in and why he didn't sign him. He said, man, we had Russ at the time. And then he said that I'm happy with Geno Smith right now. And that's another reason why he's not going to bring him in right now and sign him. So, all right, that's neither here nor there. That's cool. But we talk about these 5 teams, baby. These 5 teams: Baltimore Ravens, Jacksonville Jaguars, New England Patriots, Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Houston Texans. This is very interesting, man. Very, very interesting. I mean, first off, you know, the one team that stands out to me off the top of my head is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Wow. I mean, you even said last year that you would have looked into that.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the situation.
I definitely think we should have signed him.
You said not this year, though, because the quarterbacks are different.
Well, no, because I remember towards the end of us talking about that on the podcast, I forgot about our conversation we had where you mentioned that there would never be a quarterback controversy, no matter who we brought in. So that's what I was thinking. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, Cap's been away 3 years. Ben's the guy. He would clearly be the guy. But I'll tell you what, logistically, just if you're looking at the quarterbacks we have left in the room, Kaepernick I'd take Kaepernick over Mason and Duck right now.
Hey, man, I'm just saying, you know, I personally, I'm there, but I also told you that because of how everything has transpired this offseason when it comes to quarterbacks and conversations about the Steelers and quarterbacks, hey, we've made our bed, we laying in it. I got you on that. Okay, cool.
So you think, well, we even had this conversation with Jameis and Cam, now Kaepernick, or even drafting one of the guys.
The quarterback, yeah.
It seems like we're pretty set on
like Mason, I said, Kevin Colbert has said it numerous times, not just Mason and Duck, they even throw in Paxton Lynch as well. So hey, don't shoot the messenger, baby. I just report the news. That's all I do, baby. I report it. Now, for me personally, if it was me, hey, like I said, I was interested in Jameis. I was interested in Cam Newton. And I'm currently interested in Colin Kaepernick because it's at least intriguing enough to, like you said, at least bring him in for a workout. I'm not saying you got to sign him today. I want to see what you got. Let me see if you still could throw it. You still running around, you fast. Like, I want to see all of those things, of course. And I think it's a similar conversation with the Cam Newton because people have asked, and even me and you were talking about this in terms of, well, why is it that Colin Kaepernick is getting this excitement and people are looking to sign him, but not the same energy with Cam? I think the difference is with Cam, because of his injury history and them not being able to physically get their hands on him right now, I think that's the only reason why he's not signed. I think in a traditional offseason, where he'll be able to fly into different cities and get tested by team doctors. Because I can go to my own doctor, but if you're the billionaire owner and this is your investment, you want your doctors looking at it because you trust those guys. You don't employ these other guys. You trust the guys that you employ. So it's different. And I mean, that's one of the things I hated at the combine was like, you have an ankle injury and literally all 32 team doctors are going to test you. You can't just get tested for him and just share your results. No. Each team has to have their own guy look at it. So I think that's the biggest reason why Cam Newton hasn't been signed yet. But with Kaepernick, he doesn't have an injury history like that. The only time he was hurt was that going into that last year in San Fran, which led to everything with, Blaine Gabbert took his spot. No, he didn't. We already broke that down too. But that was really the only time he's been injured. Other than that, it's just the 3-year layoff. So.
And I did look up his stats because we were just mentioning in passing last week. He had 16 touchdowns, 4 picks. It was in 11 or 12 games. And then he had almost 500 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. So and that 49ers team was just god awful.
It was trash.
It was just really bad because, I like the QBR is just something to look at and something to consider. He had a 50 QBR, which is just straight up average. Yeah. But consider the other numbers. Like I said, those are pretty good numbers, and the team was pretty bad. He was, I would say at least top 20, maybe top 17, 18 in the league at that point. And
that was, like I said, on a terrible year for him because compared to the other years, he was playing very well. He was very productive. Like I said, the starting quarterback on the team that went to the Super Bowl. Yeah. And we talked about how last year with Mason and Duck, I think a lot of people were agreeing, even this offseason, that was the whole conversation of why we either need Ben to be back 100% healthy or potentially upgrade the backup quarterback spot because we never felt as if Mason or Duck could take us to the Super Bowl. And I think that was the difference. Whereas with Cap, we saw him take him to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I was thinking at least last year, if we would have signed Cap in the middle of the season, with just how our offense was at that point, at least he could have done something with his legs. Like some of those passes that were being made by Mason, Duck was throwing it down the field a little bit more, but still there was some cause for concern there. I think Cap could have made most of those throws, but then that element with the legs could have been huge for us.
That's a game changer. Without a doubt, it's a game changer.
So, dude, you see Cam's workouts, though. I mean, I think
Cam looks great.
I'll play armchair doctor. He's good to go, dude.
Cam looks great. I mean, not even the recent video. I'm looking at the video he dropped. I think it was right before free agency started. He has the gospel music playing. He has the dreads. He's in there. He's lifting. It's like, they said I'm hurt. They said I can't. I'm like, bro, he looks like he's ready to go murder something right now. Like, let's go.
I just don't get it, dude. I broke this down. I did my own little video on this. I think he'd be a top 10, 12 quarterback right now. Like, it's just insane to me. I guess the only reason why is, like you mentioned, maybe it's just because of this weird offseason and no one could get their hands on him.
Yeah, because like I said, it's different seeing a video versus me bringing you in and actually being able to examine you. Because like I said, you can do certain things to make it look fine. But then when we break the video and I'm like, all right, come here, let me test this. Let me do certain tests and maneuvers to your body. How does your body react to that? That will tell me a true story. And also, if I can get you in here and work you out myself, because right now we're seeing him doing a lot of lifting. We're seeing the weight room element. We're not really seeing a lot of on-field stuff either, though. So I think that's another part of it. And I think that's going to be big with Kaepernick. If he gets signed or not, what does he look like on the field? Which I do think both of those guys are going to be completely fine from an on-field standpoint because you don't have the type of success.
Take Kaepernick like a year to adjust or something like that. It might. But I said, though, I think he'd be a top 25 quarterback right now.
We're saying adjusting to being a top tier quarterback.
Yeah.
I'm saying as of today,
I told you
he's a good quarterback.
I told you. I think he could start for, 5 or 6 teams. So, but yeah, getting back to what he was potentially, that might take a year. Yeah. Just like how Vic, whenever he signed with the Eagles, even though he wasn't really playing, it still took a year of just being behind the system and just learning. He'd get a couple plays here and there, but then he was ready to go that next year.
And then he became Vic again, and we all
the best version of Vic.
I loved it. Insane. He could throw in and run. Boy, it was special.
Yeah.
But now when I'm looking at this list, man, Baltimore, I think obviously makes a lot of sense when you think about Lamar Jackson. That's probably the most identical system for him, and the coordinator there, Greg Roman. That was his guy out in San Fran also. Yep. So the correlation is perfect there. I think that's the perfect situation for him. And then also with Harbaugh, he's not going to shy away from that type of player. I mean, you even see the interest that they have in Antonio Brown as well. They're not shying away from that. And if they believe in him and they believe he can help, which I'm sure they do because of Greg Roman, then it would definitely be a great insurance policy when you're thinking about, all right, if Lamar Jackson goes down right now, they have, I think, RG3.
They still have RG3?
I don't know.
Well, he's injury prone anyway. We just saw last year with the Steelers, you could go through two quarterbacks pretty quick. True,
absolutely. And you have to ask yourself, too, if both of these guys are at their best, who are you taking, Cap or RG3? I think that's another debate as well.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's a good question, actually. I would just have to see Cap back again.
That's the biggest thing.
Because I don't think RG3 looked kind of decent whenever he did get some of those
he absolutely
spot playing time last year. So
yeah,
he might be able to be a starter with some of these teams, to be honest with you.
But the biggest thing with him is the health concerns.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
He's not able to move like he used to. But he was always good in terms of being in the pocket and being accurate.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So I could definitely say
Ravens.
I think that's
Ravens makes sense.
Perfect fit. Perfect.
And there'd be a lot less pressure there. He would be the third guy off the bat.
No question.
So and
if he signed a 1-year deal, would be very similar too in terms of their athletic ability, being able to run and pass.
If he signed a 1-year deal, he goes through the system there a little bit. Harbaugh has good things to say. Teammates have good things to say. Maybe he could sign a 2 or 3 year deal next year with the chance of being a starter.
Very true, man.
So that could be a good situation for him.
All right, next on the list is Jacksonville.
He could start there. I said this. I said this last podcast.
What about Dobbs? Was Dobbs still down there too, man?
I'd say you make it a competition between Cap and Gardner, because Gardner's I think good enough to be a starter as well. But throw Cap in there. But Gardner's right now he's bottom 25. But I think that's exactly where Cap would be if you put him in right now. So I think it'd be a good competition, dude.
Because you got Gardner Minshew, Mike Glennon, and my dog Josh Dobbs on that roster right now. So he definitely could come in there and compete for a spot without a doubt. And when you look at just the style of these quarterbacks, he's very similar to a Dobbs, like that same type of athletic ability. I think Kaepernick is definitely the better runner though than Dobbs, but you can just see how he could easily fit in there. With Mike Glennon, we know he's tall as heck, but other than that, he don't really have a lot of distinguishing characteristics about him from an on-field standpoint.
Did you see that dude that took the shot at him?
No.
I think it was a Bears dude.
Oh, yeah. He was talking about Kaepernick. Yeah, he was like, bro, it was Akeem Hicks.
Yeah, someone asked him, they said, do you think Kaepernick was blackballed or he didn't get a fair shot? No, all he said, this is all he said. He was like, we signed Mike Glennon.
He said, I'll let you take it from there. Yeah, absolutely, man. So that definitely says a lot because under I don't know what universe is Mike Glennon better than Kaepernick. Me personally, I've seen both. I've played against both, been teammates with one. It's not happening, bro. I'm taking Cap over him, personally.
Where were you teammates with Glennon?
AZ.
Oh, really?
Trash.
Whoa, dude.
I ain't gonna say trash. He was
Hold on. This is a new you. You're firing off some hot takes here recently.
Man, I'm trying to be more like you.
All right, because you said someone trash last week.
I did say
Trubisky.
Absolutely trash.
The two. Because, Glennon was a Bears quarterback, not Trubisky.
Let me embrace my fandom.
Wow,
I feel like as a fan, you can call people trash.
Oh, you definitely can, because it's not personal. It's just, it's for humor. It's just strictly about your football.
And it puts more emphasis on how bad of a player that person might be. Whereas, like, when I'm doing my, hey, as a former player to player, nah, you're not trash. I know how hard it is to be in the NFL. I know how hard it is to be a quarterback in the NFL. And for you to be in a quarterback this long, hey, man, I understand in the NFL, bro. I got to respect that. But when I take that hat off, and I put my fan hat on, trash.
Wow.
So that's where I'm at right now. I got my fan hat on. I got my Deke. It says Deke right there. Okay. But not the French one. It's the English version.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I just want to clarify that.
100%.
Yeah. Now, the third team, the New England Patriots.
So we both agree on Jaguars?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is this the right order? Do you agree with the order? Yeah. No, do you agree with the order?
Well, I definitely think Baltimore is the number one team. I think number two, though, can be debatable between the Patriots and the Jaguars. I think the only reason I have the Patriots, I don't have an issue with them being at 3, is because I'd rather they get Kaepernick. I mean, not Kaepernick. I'd rather they get Cam Newton because I do think Cam, as of today, is the better quarterback. The biggest thing is just the health element of it.
I wouldn't be thrilled that the Pats got him, but in terms of both sides thriving, I don't know why that hasn't happened yet either. Is it because like Cam's such a superstar player that you don't want to just sign him without knowing the health type of stuff?
I think that plays a lot because we're assuming that his market is going to be in the Jameis Winston market, but we know Jameis received. But the thing was this though, but we have to remember, Jameis received better offers than what he signed for. Remember that. He signed there because he said it's going to be the best opportunity for me. I want to learn under Sean Payton and Drew Brees. But it was reported clearly that the Bears offered him more money, but the Bears won't offer him the type of money that he wanted. So that's the difference. So for Cam, you're not going to, I doubt he's going to sign for $1 million. He might sign in the $10 million range because I think that's what they were saying that Jameis was getting offered in Chicago. The problem was Jameis wanted to get paid like a top 5 quarterback. Remember, he said, I'm a legendary quarterback already and all this other stuff. So he wanted to get paid in that vein. He looked at money to come in and compete for a starting job is different than clear-cut starter money. So that's why he said, you know what, I'd rather just take this $1 million and go here and learn under Sean Payton and Drew Brees, which I can't fault for that. So I think with Cam, the money that you might have to pay to him, you don't want to just spend that not knowing his health stats. Because if you pay that and say he's only good for a game and you knew going into that game that he wasn't right, well, now you just wasted that money and that's not a good situation. Yeah,
and that potential superstar personality, just superstar player being there. Like if he's not starting, that I could see that being a dicey situation.
But at the same time, the Patriots have had personalities. They've had Gronk. They've had Martellus Bennett, who's another guy who is super outspoken, is going to talk.
I guess what I mean is if he ends up becoming the backup just because you didn't know of his health going into it and you got Stidham starting over him, I'm like, I don't know if that's the best situation.
Yeah. Well, we don't understand, too, how Cam might handle that either.
What do you mean?
In terms of, would he be okay with that? Like,
that's what I mean.
Yeah, I don't get that vibe from him.
That's what I mean. So I have one side of me that's saying a team should sign him right now because I think you're going to get a steal.
Yeah.
But then you bring up the point on the other hand, if things aren't really good health-wise and, down the road something could happen, it could just lead for a dicey situation for the team because of just who Cam is. He's a big-time personality.
Polarizing. And he's had the success to back it up, too.
Oh, 100%. Dude, like, I would. I mean, if I'm one of these teams, if I'm the Patriots, if I'm the Jaguars, if even we mentioned the Chargers, I think he could start for any of these teams. I would sign them right now. Bears. So, that's just me, at least.
Yeah.
So, Pats, for Cap, I'm with you. I think they'd be a good fit for either guy.
Without a doubt, man. Because like I said, the quarterback situation in New England, we don't know what Jarrett Stidham is yet. We've never seen him in a large body of work. We've never seen him in a regular season game. Like, this is different. What is he going to look like? How's he going to handle that?
No one knows, dude.
And then your back was Brian Hoyer. We know what Brian Hoyer is. He's just a consistent backup.
If you just want to even say Cap for a backup spot.
Oh, but if we're talking just backup spot, I feel like it's a no-brainer. You got to bring him in
any team. Yeah. You can put any team on this
except
list.
the Steelers.
I mean, it definitely makes sense when we discuss it, though.
Man, we got Paxton Lynch,
come on,
Mason Rudolph, and Doug Hodges, so we're good.
Dude, it would definitely make sense.
No, it wouldn't make sense because Colbert already said that. We're happy with the quarterbacks in our room. We've never looked to change it. That's what he said. We're rolling with it, bro. I'm with it.
Okay, yeah. I mean,
that's fearless leader, man. He's taking it. Wherever he goes, I'm going.
Period. Ben's our guy, so we're good with Ben. But yes, as a backup, yes, he makes sense for any team.
Especially Ben coming off of an elbow surgery that missed the whole year.
Dude, I don't know, dude. Have you seen him, man? He looks like he turned back the clock 10 years now. That's with that whole barbershop pick.
That's cool, man. We talked about also with Cam Newton how he looks great right now, and the year before that he looked great too, and the year before that he looked great too.
I'm a believer in Cam too. I think he'll be back. Hey, so whatever team gets him is going to get a steal,
without a doubt. And then the 5th team on the list, the Houston Texans. Deshaun Watson, I mean, he's similar to that style of play. Definitely similar to that style. Who are their backups? AJ McCarron?
He's better. He's probably better than 95% of the backups in this league.
I agree. But this is the thing we have to put in context. When he last played, he was better. 3-year layoff, we don't know what that's going to look like. That's all I'm saying. 3 years is a long time.
I take him over AJ McCarron right now, sight unseen.
Okay.
I would.
All right.
I definitely would. I'd say I'd stick with that 90. I mean, you probably have RG3. You probably have Jameis. Man. Or see Taysom Hill, he's iffy. Dude, I'll take Taysom Hill over Cap. So there's probably 3 or 4 guys.
So think about this, Cap. Right? You play drums, right?
Yeah.
You play what? How often do you play?
A few times a week.
Imagine not playing the drums for 3 years. You think you're going to be as good today as you were by taking a 3-year layoff?
I'd need a couple months.
You need a couple months.
I'd need a couple months.
But would you say after a 3-year layoff that you're just as good as the guy who's been playing every day since then?
There's something to, weirdly enough, having some rest. I don't know what it is, but that is
3 years.
That is a
rest?
long. That is a long rest.
You can give me with the Ben rest. All right. I hear people. It's 1 year, man. This is rest. He's rest. All right. I'll buy the Ben rest, but I'm not buying 3 years rest now. That's too much. All right.
McCarron though.
I'm just saying.
You definitely take Cap over McCarron though.
Bro,
right now.
When Cap was playing 3 years ago, sure. We're talking 3 years laid off. 3 years not doing it. That's different. That's all I'm saying.
You know he's been throwing.
Okay. It's the difference between throwing and playing in the NFL. We can agree upon that.
Give him a few months. Give him some preseason games.
Okay.
He'll already be better than McCarron.
Okay. But you do know this offseason is not going to be a few months. It's going to be, you got a couple weeks, 2 preseason games. Show me what you got. That's not a good situation.
I think he's ready.
I hope so. I definitely hope so. Because, man, that's a short window, especially when you're coming back after a 3-year layoff. Percy Harvin's going to be in a similar situation.
Who's signing him?
Well, that's the thing. I think that he's definitely going to get opportunity, but he's in a similar situation as a Cam Newton because when he left the injuries and you haven't had a chance to bring him in to check him out.
Dude, Harvin just seems like a way different scenario than any of these guys.
Why though?
Just
when he played, he was elite.
Because receivers based a lot more on that athleticism.
And when he was last time on the field, he had it. We all can agree upon that.
I can't remember.
As a receiver or a returner.
He had some spotty seasons there. He jumped around a couple teams.
Yeah, he jumped around because they were talking about his attitude. That was the biggest issue. He said he was having an attitude issue. And then they were also talking about how a lot of it was related to his anxiety that he suffers from.
Yeah. How long ago was that? Was that 3 years, 4 years ago?
Man, it would have been in Buffalo.
Were you there?
No. I was already in Pittsburgh.
Okay, so
this would have been
maybe
Buffalo
15, 16?
I think 17 might have been his last year. Either 16 or 17.
Hold on, I got it. I'm quick on my typing today here.
It's either 16 or 17.
Pro Football Reference. 16.
Yeah.
16 last time with the Bills. He played 11 games. No, he didn't even play. I mean, he had 6 yards.
Yeah, he had because he kept talking about the anxiety stuff.
No, 2 games. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
his number was 11.
Yeah, he kept having anxiety issues, migraines, and that just messed him up, and that's ultimately why he retired.
Okay.
Yeah. Whereas now he realized that, hey, I did have an anxiety, a mental disorder, and then he went and got hope for it. Now he says he feels a lot better, and he's healthy again. He
had an awesome run with the Vikings for 2 years whenever, I think Favre was there one of those years.
Absolutely.
He had a really good run there.
Then he won a Super Bowl with Seattle, but even with that, he still was having some issues out there.
Well, you know what happened? I think he was out almost that whole season, and then he came in the Super Bowl and had that punt return or kick return, whatever it was.
Yeah, man.
That was a blowout, though. Manning just blew that game, and Seahawks defense was a little too much for him.
I'm saying, though, man, he's nice, bro. Last time we saw him, he was nice.
Oh man, dude, I don't know. I have a lot more faith in Cap. Well, a lot more faith in Cam for sure. Faith in Cam.
But Cam is the only one out of the 3 that's been playing most recently,
and I just think he's better than both those players.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But then you do Cap versus Harvin. I would have more faith in Cap just because I think
that's iffy.
I think in terms of legs, I don't know how much he's necessarily going to lose because of the rest. Maybe if he was
this 3-year rest, then I'm not hearing you on that.
I still think he could drop 500-600 yards on the ground.
After 3 years of rest, when does it become rust?
I think he could drop 500-600.
When does rest turn to rust? That's what I really want to know.
I don't know
because you sold me on Ben not being rusty, just being rested. We've heard that.
Definitely.
So when does
you're on board?
I told you already. I'm good. So when does rest turn into rest? At what point? 2 years? In 3 years? 5 years?
In another year or two, because he's 32 right now.
In another year or two? That would have been a 5-year layoff. That's when it turns to rest?
That's when he's probably, it's too much. Right now is the peak time. You got to get him back.
Holy cow.
I think he can have a resurgence.
So then that means Percy is like super rested then, huh?
Oh man,
you said it. You said it.
It's just different.
Rest.
It's more or less different positions, dude.
How you figure though? One is actually probably easier to play receiver than it is to play quarterback. Wouldn't you think?
Coming back from that layoff, I don't know. I'm asking you. I'm just assuming.
If you're fast, you can catch. What more do you need? As a quarterback, man, that's a lot. Mentally, you got to get back to the game. The speed of it, what you're seeing, knowing the different schemes offensively and defensively.
There's just
knowing the whole. I mean, you remember as a quarterback, you got to know everything. You got to know what O-line's doing, the running backs, the receivers. You got to know everything. I got all that.
There's just less quarterbacks though.
Okay.
There's more talent at receiver.
But you have more receivers on your roster though.
Yeah. Okay, so what are we thinking Harvin looks like when he comes back? That's the thing. Can he make a fifth or sixth receiver slot?
No, at worst, he's a slot receiver at worst. At worst. Right now, yes.
Really?
At worst, yes.
Wow. Okay.
If he's healthy. That's the biggest thing, but that goes back to the Cam thing. If healthy.
How old is he right now?
He's got to be 32.
Hold on. 1988. He's 32. He just turned 32. Mm-hmm. Man.
That's 32. He's rested.
I don't know. I'd like to see it. I'd like to see if you're right.
It's going to be interesting, man. But I definitely think he'll get an invite somewhere. And I think if he's healthy, he would be a major still, because when he has been healthy, he's pretty
Would it make sense for us? No, we got too many. We got too many receivers.
And I feel like you don't bring him in because you have Deontay Johnson. Like they are very similar in their style of play. So I don't really see how that you don't want to mess that up or take away from his growth and development.
Yeah.
And because, also with Percy, I mean, that's been the knock on him throughout his career, is that he does have a little bit of a temper in terms of how he handles the other players around him. You know about the Doug Baldwin incident and things like that. So I just think that you don't necessarily want to bring that around a young guy that's developing, that he will ultimately be competing with as well.
Understood. Now, is there a team you think should be off this? Maybe a team that should be in it? We mentioned Chargers. It kind of makes sense.
For me, knowing what I know about the Steelers, I would take them off and put the Chargers on. Just because, like, if we haven't, and this is the thing, because we heard it all the time with the Jameis and Cam debate, should they come in, they were very clear that they don't want to touch that quarterback room. So that's why I'm like, why we waste our time putting them on this list? If that hadn't been the case, if they would have flirted with the idea or even made offers, that's different. But that wasn't the case. So why am I even going to put them up here? Because they're clearly not in the market. So I would put the Chargers up there because, like I said, when you look at the Chargers roster right now, the quarterback room, it's not as surefire as they would like to say. I would also put Seattle up there as well. I understand Pete Carroll tried to save face when he was like, we think that we think that Cap is too good to be a backup, this and that. But, I've never been a part of a team where they don't want a ton of good players, especially when you can afford them. That's the name of the game.
I honestly think at that time, man, I remember saying this, that if they would have signed Cap, he could have taken Wilson's job.
It was a possibility.
If Wilson got hurt or something.
Correct.
Then Cap goes on a 3-4 game
and
run.
They were very familiar with them because they were in the division with them. And that was the big rivalry.
Wilson right now, I think that's a different story for
It's clear cut right now. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a different
story. Thing is this. Are you taking Geno? You going with Geno over Cap?
No. Oh, hell no. I told you, dude. It's 80 to 90% of these backup quarterbacks. I'd take Cap right now, and I told you I'd put Cap right in, starting for the Steelers in the middle of last season. I would have done it. So
you're right, man.
He should be in the league, and if he gets a chance, I think he could take an opportunity just because of how the league has moved. We've seen Lamar Jackson be successful, just Kyler Murray successful. Yeah, he might have a chance. Like I said,
Arizona is another one potentially.
Oh yeah, that one makes. I would put them on there.
Arizona definitely makes sense, man.
I would put Arizona on there, unless, man, I wonder if Kingsbury would have that Carroll mentality where it's like, I want to protect Murray. I don't want.
What are you protecting him from right now?
I don't know. Just Kaepernick's a big name. I wonder.
But Murray's the number 1 overall pick.
I know. I would think that he'd be able to handle it, and he should be able to handle it.
Should.
Yeah, he definitely should. I wonder if Kingsbury's thinking that though.
Yeah.
Logically, from Cap should come in and be the best backup on your team. Yeah, that would definitely happen. So I'd put Cardinals on there too. And they got that type of system. Like
they do. Absolutely, they do.
Yeah. All right. So he should be in the league. I mean, we both agree.
He definitely should be in the league regardless. And even if he's not in the league, he better have workouts lined up. How about that?
That'd be cool.
He definitely needs some workouts. I want to see it, man. I want to see because right now it's the whole mystery. Is he going to be good enough? Is he rested or rusty? I want to know.
His preseason, like if he plays a preseason game, that'd probably be the most tuned in game.
It's not even
That'd be
close.
wild.
Yes, indeed. NFL for ratings. They do anything for ratings, baby. That way. You want to break the internet. You want to, the team that signs him first off is going to go crazy. I guarantee you people are going to buy his jersey before he even steps on that field. As soon as they sign him, oh, Captain, this is his number. People are going to buy the jerseys because of how big it is, a big a deal it is, and things like that, man. So, yeah. And then
I think it's going to happen, bro.
I mean, I think it's the best chance he's going to get right now, man.
I think
the momentum is there.
I think it is going to happen. I don't know why. I just got that feeling. There's a lot at play here, it does seem that it's just the momentum's rolling in that direction.
We're gonna see. Man.
It would be interesting. It would be cool.
We're gonna see. So transitioning, man. The thing that we want to talk about too, man. These AFC North wide receivers, because you can't have wide receivers without quarterbacks. We talked the quarterback with Kaepernick, but now it's time to talk these receivers, and in particular the AFC North, because we did this before with our running backs when we ranked the AFC North running backs. And we talked about that, but now I think it's time to just talk about wide receivers and not tight ends, because I know people are quick to say, well, we're storing these tight ends. We're going to get to the tight ends later. I want wide receivers only, okay? Wide receivers only, not tight ends, okay? Not H-backs, none of that. Tight ends. I mean, wide receivers. So with that being said, man.
What?
Who you got in the morning?
For the AFC North? Yeah. Now, I was going through this. Are we doing, because we're coming up on this season.
Yes, we're talking the rookies are in there. Absolutely.
No, I know the rookies are in there. Are we talking more projection, or are we talking right now?
What do you mean?
Because my projection is different than right now, more based off last year and their full body work.
So we're projecting everybody being healthy, correct?
Because when we did the running backs, I think we did right now. But that was more towards the end of last season, I think. Mm-hmm. So we're coming more towards this season. Yeah. So are we focused a little more on projection with this?
I mean, that plays into it.
Okay.
Yeah. That definitely plays into it. And I'm hoping so, because that's why my list is constructed how my list is constructed.
Okay. That's why my list is the way it is as well.
So you'll go. I'm trying to think. You know what? You go who your one is, I go who my one is. You go who your two is, I go who my two is. You go who your three is, and I go who my three is, and we'll go that way. Cool?
Okay. I'm going with Steelers at 1.
Okay.
Who's your 1?
Cincinnati Bengals.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say that.
Yep. And I figured you were gonna say that too.
Well, that's what I mean. If we were to go right now and more or less based off last year, then I would put Steelers probably at 3. But now.
Oh yeah, that's I feel what you're saying on that. Yeah, because otherwise, then we'd have to talk about Juju in the down year compared to last year. Like, I don't want to do it. We're looking forward.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now we're clear. Mm-hmm. So yeah, definitely Steelers 1.
Yeah.
I like us for depth reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I think. So do we want to mention some of the other receivers as we're talking about this thing? Explain, because I would probably have Juju as borderline 2 or 3 based off production next year.
2 or 3? What do you mean?
Now Odell, I'm gonna say Odell's the number 1.
Okay.
In AFC North. Number 2, I would say AJ Green.
Okay.
I even think Juju can pass AJ Green in terms of production.
See, I think that's where we differ.
Production or just the better player?
Both.
Okay.
If AJ is healthy, AJ is a top 5 receiver.
I think he's the better player, but the thing I'm factoring in though is we have Big Ben. I don't know what
Joe Burrow.
I don't know what Burrow's going to do with these receivers.
Whoa, we don't know what Ben's going to look like either. Come back from elbow surgery.
Man, see, I'm betting the house money on that.
Well, but this is my thing. I take the same approach. If I'm going to say I'm betting the house that Ben is healthy, well, I'm betting the house that Joe Burrow comes in and plays like a #1 overall pick.
All right.
Like, you can't have it both ways. You can't. Yeah, because that's what you just did. You said, I know I'm betting that Ben is going to be fine, but I don't know about Joe Burrow.
He's a rookie, though.
Yeah, and Ben missed the whole season with elbow surgery.
Rest.
Okay. So he's young and ready to light it up.
Who, Big Ben? Yeah, no, I told you, Ben. Dude, he looks 10 years younger.
Joe's coming off the best college football season in history.
I told you. I mean, I think he could be good. I definitely do. But first year against some of these defenses, Steelers, Ravens, even the Browns aren't too shabby. That could be a tough road for him this year.
I don't think so. I think he'd be all right, man.
No, and that's fine. Yeah. I mean, I could be right. You could be right. Either one. But I think that's one of the things I'm definitely considering when I put Steelers 1. So if I have Juju around that 2 to 3 range in terms of production, you look at the second receivers.
Yeah,
I think Deontay could be the best second receiver just based off potential.
Okay.
Right now, you would probably say Boyd and Landry just based off their history. But I think Deontay, when we talked about this, whenever we brought up the whole what could Deontay do next year, I think he could surpass them. I definitely do. If he gets 100 receptions, he's getting 1,100, 1,200 yards and has that type of impact, he could be the best number 2. And then I like James Washington, a proven 700-yard receiver, as our third guy.
Okay.
Chase Claypool, second-round pick. And, you could take Higgins over Claypool, but at the same time, I guess they're both second-round picks, so there's still some unknown there. But you're high on Higgins, though.
He was the 33rd.
Yeah.
That's a little different. That's literally one pick outside of the first round.
I'm not going to argue that. I mean, you're high on Higgins. You're definitely high. But I guess that's why I have the Steelers at number 1. I like the depth, and I actually think both of our top guys could be both in the top probably 3 or 4, maybe even just top 5. We'll say that as a duo there in the AFC North. So
okay,
with Big Ben coming back. So
respect. I look at it like this. The reason why I chose the Bengals over the Steelers is because number 1, AJ Green, when healthy, has been to this day, and like I said, this is the mindset we're operating with, has been way better than Juju has been. Juju at his best has not been what AJ Green could be at his best. And the difference is AJ Green was the guy. Always. Proven number one. We still haven't seen Juju as a proven number 1 just yet. We haven't. We know for a fact AJ Green is. Consistently. Throughout the years. The only reason why Andy Dalton had a job and was getting paid. Because of AJ Green. Okay? So that's why for me, I have the Bengals at number 1. Then when I look at the number 2 receivers, I understand we're projecting with Deontay Johnson, and I do think he's going to take a huge step forward. We both talked about it. We're extremely high on him. But if I'm projecting Deontay's going to take a step forward, you don't think I'm projecting that Tyler Boyd won't? Tyler Boyd already had 90 catches for over 1,000 yards with Ryan Finley as his quarterback and just a sprinkle of Andy Dalton.
He was getting probably more targets than he usually would, though. Just being the number 1 guy.
That's fine. You realize who his quarterback was, though.
Oh, it was bad.
So if you can do that on a terrible offense, because we talked about how bad that offense looked last year, I'm very confident in him. If he did that as the quote unquote number 1, he's going to be the number 2 with AJ Green. That's crazy to me. And then I'll tell you, I'm very high on T. Higgins because T. Higgins is going to be the replacement to AJ Green. You look at his college tape, extremely productive, proven, plays what he times. He doesn't look one thing and then he says, oh, it's something else on paper.
Oh, man.
We talked about that. That's not a shot. I'm just being real. So with T, of course, I'm very high on T. So that's why if I'm ranking their top 3 receivers, the Bengals versus our top 3, I personally think that the Bengals have the better group in that regard. Now, I do think we're deeper because now when we'll go to James Washington versus Alex Erickson, or you go Auden Tate, both of those guys are in the 500 receiving yard range and stuff like that. I think James Washington is a better player than them. But the top 3 people, I'm rolling with the Bengals in that regard.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see. So what's number 2 then?
So who? Yeah, you're going first, man. Who's your number 2?
Oh man, I have it written on my computer. I can't remember.
Man, you fumbling over here, man.
It's obviously between the Browns and the Bengals. I think I have the Bengals, dude, just because of everything that you said. You have AJ Green versus Odell. I would take Odell, but AJ Green's a proven 1,000-yard receiver year in, year out. And then Tyler Boyd versus Land. Ah, man, dude, did I have Browns? I'm starting to think of this.
Uh-oh.
But they got Higgins. That's their main thing. So if you just say it's a wash, even though I would give the Browns the nod for the top 2 receivers.
Okay. You're saying if you're going Jarvis and Odell versus
that's tough though, dude.
Versus AJ Green and Boyd.
Could Boyd be, I'd say Boyd will be better than Landry this year, just based off where they are in their careers. I'll give Boyd that. So if we're projecting, let's just say it's a wash for this. The Bengals have Higgins, so I'm going to give them the nod based off having Higgins because the Browns' third receiver, I was looking at some of their names. I'm like, what's going on here?
Who is this guy?
So I'll give it to the Bengals. I'll give Bengals that. I'll give them the 2 spot. Okay. They're close to the Steelers.
So for me, I flip-flop. I have the Steelers as my number 2 because of the depth. When we're if we were just talking the star power, the best receiver, obviously the best receiver in the AFC North is Odell. There is nobody in there outside of AJ Green, and I still think Odell gets the nod over AJ Green. But when we're talking about just best receivers, like I said, Odell and Jarvis, they pack a crazy 1-2 punch. But after that, it's a crazy drop off. I'm looking over here. I was like, okay, was it Damian Ratley is one guy. I was like, nah, that don't sound good. Antonio Callaway, okay, all right, but the numbers is trash, and we can go down.
Yeah, he's got the name, but
yeah. But I was like, man, when you look at the Steelers, the same guys we just talked about with Juju, with Deontay Johnson, with James Washington, and then obviously Chase Claypool. It's a lot deeper right there, a lot deeper. So that's why for me, I got the Steelers at number 2.
I'm good with that. Yeah, dude. Definitely good with that. I guess Browns are going to be. They're loaded at tight end. They're loaded with running backs. They're going to have some interesting formations.
Yeah, absolutely.
If they do have maybe Callaway, maybe he becomes the guy that steps up at 3, they could have a pretty good offense if Baker can keep it together. All right, so my 3 is then definitely the Browns. Your 3 is probably the Browns too, and then last is Ravens.
Because I think the Ravens, man, when you look
unless the Ravens get
that would change it. AB and Hollywood Brown, holy cow,
speed.
That would be nuts. But you look at the style of play, though, the Ravens, they're built to run the ball. So if you're ranking their running backs, which we did, they are the clear-cut number 1 team in terms of that running back room.
If you're adding Lamar Jackson, just
Correct.
saying he's a running threat as well.
I mean, his numbers back it up. But then, and shout out to him too, man. Being on the cover of Madden, dude, that was dope.
Am I seeing things right? What I'm seeing as these social media posts, that is the cover, where it's like these squares of pictures of him.
Oh, I didn't look at it.
And it's like a collage.
I didn't look at it.
It's kind of like a modern day. I don't know. A lot of people are posting things like this. It's kind of like the artistic flair that's going on. A lot of stuff.
Yeah, I didn't look at that. I just know that he's the cover athlete, so I thought that was pretty dope.
You have to see it because it's completely different than any other Madden cover.
Serious?
It is. It's like
that's awesome, man.
4 or 5 pictures that are just squares. Like you would take, a portrait picture. And it's just made into like a collage and it says Madden 21 on it. And it has, I'm telling you, you've seen pictures like this. It has words with just the outline on it. And like there's some like graffiti splatter on it a little. Dude, it's pretty cool.
Okay, I'm with it.
So if they made this transition to this new cover, I guess hats off to him because I found it pretty cool.
I'm gonna have to check it out. I just know, like I said, he got the cover athlete, and I thought that was awesome. Especially, man, when you're looking at going into last season, the doubt surrounding him, he was stepped up, out of control.
He definitely did.
He had a crazy year, one for the record books, man. So I think that was pretty cool to see him.
He's going to be a new cheat. I mean, he already was last year.
It's going to be it's ridiculous, bro.
He's probably going to be 99 speed. He's probably going to be like 97, 98 overall.
He's going to be the Madden 21 version of Vic. We know what this is, man.
Mahomes was crazy last year. I messed with Madden a little bit, dude. Playing up against him because you could roll to the right, roll to the left. He had some pretty decent speed, but then, dude, you'd have Tyreek Hill streaking down the field, and he would hit it on a dime.
It's crazy.
It was absurd playing the Chiefs. I kept on plugging away trying to be the Steelers, dude. I had some good runs because we had a good defense.
And shout out to the CML too, man. You never told us who won it all either.
No, man.
You just stopped it after one game, man.
I haven't simmed it, dude.
Dude, we want to know who's the champion.
I don't know.
At least if we would have lost to the champion, the Bills, then that would make it feel better.
I definitely don't want to be losing to the Bills.
We already lost to the Bills.
No, I'm sorry. I misspoke. I definitely don't want to see them winning the championship.
Okay.
That would hurt me. I got a little rivalry with them right now.
I know. Out of nowhere, too. It's like, what is the purpose of this rivalry?
They should be the ones considering signing Cap to be the starter.
Jeez. They're good. They're fine,
I'm
man.
just messing.
He could be the backup, though. I tell you that. But that would be a unique quarterback room.
What? Who's their backup?
Oh, man. You're unplugged.
I am. I don't know.
From Georgia.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah. And we know what happened with him and what he did. That would be a very, very unique quarterback room, man.
Wow.
I don't think they could do that.
Okay. Wow.
That's that would be very interesting, to say the least.
Wow, I was just making it as a joke, but that would be a crazy.
Nah, that ain't. Ooh. Difference of philosophies and opinions in that quarterback room.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe things could be hashed out. I don't know.
You never know, man. You never know. Yeah.
I was just making a joke to rip on Josh. Funny. I was just making a joke to rip on Josh Allen, but that's funny that came up too. Man. I guess. Wow. All right, though.
So
where were we at? We were at Madden cover. Anything more on that, or we want to get back to the AFC North receivers here?
Well, I mean, we pretty much had it ranked, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have Cincinnati at 1, Bengals at 2, Browns at 3. You have Steelers at 1, Bengals at 2, and then Browns at 3. I think that's pretty clear cut. And it really just depends, too. Like I said, when people are going to project these lists and stuff like that, are you operating with the mindset that everyone's healthy? I think that's the biggest thing because that's going to be the big thing with Juju, along with the big thing with AJ Green.
Mm-hmm.
Are they both healthy? Even with Ben, is he healthy? Like that's the thing. So if we're all operating with all these guys being healthy, I definitely think that's how it plays.
Yeah, it's like these guys can play up to the best of their abilities because of health on all fronts: quarterbacks, receivers, other players. So that's what I'm predicting. That's what you're predicting.
But the Steelers definitely do have the deepest wide receiver group, though. I personally feel.
That's why I'll give them the nod there. Yeah, and a sneaky potential.
But we weren't saying deep. We said the best.
Sneaky potential for Deontay and Juju to be two of the top 4 receivers in the AFC North.
I'm just saying sneaky potential for AJ Green and Tyler Boyd to be two of the top receivers in the AFC. I mean, it could go both ways. That's all I'm saying, man.
It definitely could.
And it's a lot more proven in Cincy thus far. We've seen it thus far, whereas with the Steelers, we haven't just seen it just yet. We're projecting. We haven't just seen it just yet, but in Cincinnati, we know. But I think that's what we differ too. Like for me, I like to already gather the facts, know everything, and then weigh my odds that way. Where you kind of like the unknown, the potential, and just the.
I'm banking on Ben a lot too.
Yeah,
I'm definitely banking on Ben here,
and I'm banking on. I've seen AJ Green take a trash pass and go 60 like too many times.
Yeah, and I think we've had this debate before too. Yeah. I would take Burrow over Dalton, but
you said that.
Well, we could just say they're even. Maybe even if you wanted to say you take Dalton by a little bit, Burrow's still better than what they had last year.
True.
Or if he's just equal to Dalton at some point this year, then AJ Green can put up numbers. Boyd can put up numbers because they've proven they could do it with Dalton. I'll take the Steelers though. Now with the Ravens, where would they be if they had AB? Would they still be at 4 actually? Or would you move them up over the Browns?
I'm taking AB over Odell.
Would you put them at 1?
No, I'm gonna put them. I would put them at. They would be a debatable 3, just because. AB and Hollywood Brown versus OBJ and Jarvis.
Because who else? They have Boykin. He was another young guy, and then Snead. So they don't have much depth. You'd just be going on AB and
Snead's
Brown.
Not like that either. Yeah.
And I would say Brown's probably right now last on the second receivers. You would put him and Deontay right there, but I'm predicting Deontay to be better than Brown next year.
Then better than Hollywood.
Hollywood, yeah. Oh, you think Hollywood's taking that type of jump?
Bro, I just don't be understanding sometimes. Like,
huh? I think Deontay had a better rookie year than him.
Yeah, no, he did. He definitely did.
Just different styles of offense, too.
And that's the part I think that factors in a lot, because we know what the Ravens offense is and what they try to do. They're not trying to sling that ball 30, 40 times. They want to run, and then get you when you're cheating your keys and stuff like that.
If Lamar works on that though, man, like if he can, if he can get it to where his arm's even more of a threat, then man, if he could become, he just doesn't have the straight up arm talent that Vic had, but if he could just improve his arm to get a degree of that, plus his running ability, he could be what Vic should have been in his prime, potentially.
Very true.
So
it's going to be interesting, man.
It definitely will be. I'm excited for the season, even though I'm thinking in the back of my mind, I don't know. Is there going to be one?
We should take bets. Who has the first game, man? NFL, NBA, NHL, or MLB right now? Because those other leagues, every time I feel like it's momentum, I feel like it's something pulling them back, man.
What's the word on the NHL?
Well, right now they say they're trying to have games start by July 31st. That's what they're saying. But they haven't named all the cities yet. I think the Steelers are one of the host cities that they're talking about potentially doing. I think Vegas was one, but they still haven't released them all. No, we want to be able to.
Yeah. At least there'll be a buzz around the city.
I mean, they could do it like NASCAR though. 1,000 fans. Because they were the first group, right? First sports to have fans in. They had 1,000 fans at their previous race down in Miami, so that was cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
How'd Harvick do?
Oh man, he was not a good race for him, man. Yeah, not a good race for him.
Too much celebrating.
No. But the thing, because it wasn't. I know the past 2 races he's had battery issues with his car, and that's definitely played a role into that.
Ah man. Okay. Unfortunate.
Yes, indeed. But I ain't tripping, baby, because the polls are the polls, baby. He's still kicking a lot of butt.
He was in first.
Absolutely. So like I said, he's still gonna be good. It's a long, long season, man. And it's so rapid right now. These dudes, like I said, they're going Saturday or Sunday, and then Wednesday or Thursday. Like that's fast pace right now, man.
I would.
And they're doing it with no practice runs either.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they haven't even, because usually you do like your qualifying laps the day before the race. They're not even doing any of that. They're ranking them in terms of pole position solely off of how they finished in their previous race. So that played into why my guy was in the back, because of the battery issues that he had in the race prior to that. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But yeah, you're learning on the fly. You get they give them like 1 or 2 warm-up laps before the race actually starts. And then from there, you're like, all right, make the adjustment to make to your car. Let's go. Like, which is crazy to me.
That's funny because my uncle, I was golfing with him. I don't know. It was last month. I was up in my camp, and he doesn't take any practice swings for golf. It's funny.
What?
So it's kind of comparable to that.
Man.
Not really, but he was like, your best swings are your practice swings, so why take them? It was pretty funny.
Man, at least with golf, though, you don't have to worry about crashing and hurting yourself or hurting somebody else, man. Jeez.
Exactly. So what would you say? I would say, just right off the bat right here, I'd say NHL, just because there's no bad news around it. I'm not hearing anything.
Because MLB, man, is nuts right now with their whole labor debate and with their
first game.
Do.
See, I think NFL's still going to play.
I do too.
But in terms of first game, I think NHL could get things going. You said what, end of June or end of July?
End of July. End
of July. So that's them in the NBA. So I guess you're banking on NBA just canceling.
I don't know, man. It's not looking good right now.
If you had to place a bet, I'd probably say NHL.
All right, we can roll NHL.
Is that what you say?
I'm hoping so. Okay. You know, I kick it with the hockey a little bit.
I want NBA.
I do
that's
too.
The one I want back.
But at the same time, the devil's advocate side is, because they didn't do it the right way the first time when they made the announcement, I kind of do want to see them say, you know what? Nah, I don't want to play. Because you should have asked me the first time. Don't speak for me. Yeah, don't speak for me and put this out there as if we said this when we did not say that. So that's the only side where I'm just like, you know what? No, bump that, stick it to them. But then the other side, I'm like, bro, I want to see these boys ball. I love basketball. It's my first love. So that's where I'm at with it, man.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. They were saying one of the rules is like players can go to the games and like hang out. That'd be kind of cool. That would be kind of cool.
It would. Is that tampering though?
No, they're just in the stands.
I'm just saying, man. LeBron's sitting there next to, whoever's upcoming free agent. Hey, look, bro, we can watch these games. This is gonna be us next year. What's good, baby? You know he would.
You think that?
You know he would.
You think that's how it would be?
You know he would.
Teams wouldn't be segmented off at all?
Nah. How you gonna segment us off? So you gonna tell me I gotta stay here? I can't leave. I'm not allowed to go here. I can't have my family, and I can't sit with these guys too. Come on, bro. Honestly, you're not doing that, man.
That would be hilarious if they just let any player sit next to any player, because just imagine the sports talk the next day.
Oh, man.
And the pictures and the rumors.
Absolutely, bro.
That would be wild.
Or if they laughing too much together. Oh, y'all having a little too much fun. Nah, buddy. I know what's going on here. Y'all trying to link up.
This little bubble thing, this playoff situation, this is going to be a test of wills. It's going to be the test of mentality, because that could be a play. What if LeBron is using that tactic to get someone thinking about next year or the following years, as opposed to focusing on the championship in Orlando?
Huh.
There could be so many smoke screens being thrown up.
You're right, man. It's going to be unique, baby.
Because LeBron could be talking about Giannis. Yo, how about we join the Knicks in a couple of years or something like that?
We'll get that championship.
And then all of a sudden, LeBron and the Bucks are playing. Giannis really isn't locked in, but LeBron's locked in because he knows.
Jedi mind trick on
exactly. I could see that kind of stuff happening.
All right. I'm with it, man. But either way, man, it's going to be a unique time, man. So stay tuned these next couple of weeks, baby, because...
Yeah, Kaepernick could be getting signed.
It's crazy, baby.
We got almost a month for maybe some of these sports to come back.
Yeah.
Football stuff, we'll see, dude. It is interesting times.
I like it, man. I like it. But shoot, man,
that's it.
We chopped it up, man. I was fired, man. So definitely, man, want everybody to appreciate that, man. Definitely enjoy it because it was dope. We also got an interview coming up, man.
Yep.
Assistant basketball coach for the Boston College. What are they? Eagles?
Golden Eagles.
Golden Eagles. Yeah, I'm about to say War Eagles. Boston College Eagles. Golden Eagles. Yeah, man. Assistant coach Chris Cheeks, man, he's going to be joining us on the podcast for an interview, man. So it's going to be fun chopping it up with him. So you're definitely going to want to hear that, man. Definitely going to tune in for that. So like I said, man, appreciate all the listeners, all the subscribers. And until next time.
Peace.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. I'm excited, man. We talk basketball a lot, and who doesn't love college basketball? Let's be real about it. So this next guest right here has over 19 years of coaching experience at the Division I level. I mean, he's been at West Virginia, VCU, Georgia State, and Delaware, and that's just to name a few. The list goes on. And he's currently going into his second season as the assistant coach for the Boston College men's basketball program. Without further ado, Mr. Chris Cheeks. Chris, man, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm great. We got great weather here in Boston today, so everything is good.
Now, it's funny you say that about the weather, man. You know, I was here in Pittsburgh. We have some bad weather days. So I always wonder, you know, the other states and cities, man, they have to deal with that same type of stuff. So that's good to hear. I'm glad it's a sunny day today for you.
I tell you what, this time of the year is normally really breezy, but today sunny and warm, so a lot of people are out and about today.
I like it, baby. I like it. Now, hopping right into this thing, the COVID-19 pandemic essentially put the whole world on halt. But obviously, you know, as a basketball coach, especially at the collegiate level, you still have to do the recruitment process and all those things. So just talk about how that's been affected and how your team overall has been affected due to the pandemic.
Well, first of all, we were affected when we were down at the ACC tournament when back March the 12th, when they decided to send everybody home from the ACC tournament. And then once we got back on campus, that's when the university decided, hey, let's send all the kids home. You know, we want to make sure everybody's safe at home, get them off the campus so we can, you know, clean the campus up and make sure the campus is coronavirus free. And so that was like the first phase. And then that's when they came in and said, well, we're not going to have an NCAA tournament this year. And that's the big juggler right there because, as you know, the NCAA is based on the NCAA tournament, you know, college basketball.
Oh, yeah, a lot of money.
The big money.
Yes,
oh,
indeed.
Wow.
A lot of money.
a lot of programs affected. And as you saw, you know, throughout the country, you know, different schools, different pockets, they had to eliminate different sports because of this.
Jeez,
so, you know, a lot of people have been affected. And, you know, slowly but surely, we're hoping that we can get back because, you know, if they don't start football, I mean, God knows what the ACC school is going to lose if we don't play football with TV rights and everything. I mean, you're talking probably in the upward $30 million per school.
Oh, I would say easily, especially like you said in the ACC, where I mean, football and basketball are the breadwinners. And
absolutely.
That's just crazy to think if you had to go no March Madness and then no football. That could definitely be devastating.
I mean, I'm just using Clemson as an example. You talk about a football program. They're probably, you know, the best program in our conference right now, and they get 100,000 at every home game. I mean, you're talking resources right there.
Absolutely.
People's salaries.
And no, and I totally forgot about the ACC tournament being stopped right in the middle of it. Could you talk a little bit more about, I mean, just that process for you? When did y'all find out? How was your reaction, the players' reaction, and everything like that?
Well, we actually lost on the first day. I mean, the second day. We lost on the second day to Notre Dame. And as we're getting ready to head out, that's when it was a 12 o'clock game. I want to say North Carolina State was getting ready to play somebody. And that's when they decided that, hey, we want to clear this gym out and we want to send all the players home. And, you know, each team had to evacuate immediately, you know, coming from the ACC commissioner. He just came in and said, hey, you know, it's more about the kids and the safety of the kids. You guys got to go home. So the charter flights started coming in. Get out of here.
That's wild, man.
And, you know, the ACC has been really good. And like Boston College, for example, the university as a whole, we're basically under the same protocol as the city of Boston. So as the city of Boston opens up, we're going to open up and bring back the football players and then men's basketball, women's basketball, and then some of the fall sports. So we're going to try to follow the same protocol as the city of Boston because we don't want to bring the kids back to school and they just sitting in the dorms with nothing to do.
True. Very true.
So it's a process.
Man, and it's still fluid, so it's definitely going to be interesting to see how everything plays out. Now,
yes.
Now, when you were at VCU, we actually had Coach Sonny Smith on as a guest, and I mean, he was a great conversation to have. But that was where you got your start at, man, in that '95 season.
I tell you what, I owe it all to Coach Smith. I mean, he gave me my first start, and we still talk to this day.
That's awesome.
I call him like him and Wim Sanders used to have a radio show down in Birmingham. Mm-hmm. So I used to call their show once a month, and we would talk college basketball and what's going on the recruiting front. And, he always wanted to know. So
I like that, man.
We stay in contact a lot.
How did the opportunity come about?
Well, when I played at VCU and then when I finished playing professionally, I moved back to Richmond, and one day I started coaching like an AAU basketball team, Richmond Metro. And one of the administrators at VCU found out that I was coaching the AAU team. And he approached me about coaching at Atlee High School, where his son was a freshman. And he said, "Man, would you have some interest in coaching my son? He's a freshman." I said, "I'm not doing anything." Sure. So the guy called me. Like 2 days later, I go up to Atlee High School, and the guy offers me a job. And, so I started, coaching the ninth grade my first year. The second year, I coached the JV. And then they offered me the varsity job my third year. And then I coached the varsity 1 year, was the youngest high school coach in the state of Virginia. And then the next year, Coach Smith asked me to join VCU, my alma mater.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that was an honor.
Now, what was that experience like too for you, man, coaching at your alma mater? Like did you feel any added pressure and stuff like that?
No, it wasn't the added pressure, but I was so young when I started there. So everybody looked at me as a player, not a coach.
And you were dominant there too, man. I seen your stats. You still to this day.
Yeah.
Was it 42 points, the most scored?
Still the most scored, and 24 was the highest average in recent days.
I must say, so you weren't just a guy there; you were the guy.
Yeah. No, I had fun there, and I still, follow VCU. I bleed black and gold, so
I like it.
Now, would you be able to speak on the changing college basketball landscape over the years? I mean, you've been involved, ever back since the 90s up until early 2000s and then till now. I would say, this is just me speculating, I would say probably the peak for college basketball was in that, early 2000s, like 90s era. What can you speak on just how the landscape has changed, especially with like the one and dones and the AAU system? And just how it is now. How have you seen that change? Like, what's your take on it? Is there any, I guess, ways or suggestions you think college basketball could get back to its peak?
Well, I think one of the things college basketball probably needs to do is the kids who want to go and be one and done, allow those kids to go and be one and done, because when they come to college, I mean, they're there for 10 months and, academically, what are they going to really get done in 10 months? Those kids, they come in, and as soon as the season is over, they gone, they'll start working out, preparing for the draft. So I think me personally, once those kids become 18 and they eligible for the NBA, I think you should allow them to go straight to the NBA, because you look back in the 90s and you look at all the great players, and I remember watching like LeBron James and Kobe Bryant, Jermaine O'Neal, all these kids that came through, and they never went to college, and they turned out to be terrific players, and the longevity those kids have had, the 20 plus years, and you look at them and say, hey, if they'd have went to college, they would have missed out, 3-4 years of making $10 million a year.
It's a lot of money.
No, yeah, I definitely think that's true because I saw. Oh, go ahead.
I just don't think you can hamper kids, because they want to go straight, and if they're good enough, allow them to go straight. College basketball is not going to be affected by 3 or 4 people.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that too, because
it's not like there are going to be 20 guys that go straight in. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that, and I do think that is the misconception that a lot of people have when they're thinking of, one and done, all of the top players are going to leave. It's not like that.
No,
not at all.
And
not at all.
It's funny too because I saw you had a stint with West Virginia for a little bit, so I looked back on some. I went to Pitt. I was a Pitt fan my whole life growing up, so I was looking back on some of those Pitt teams that were around the same time you were at West Virginia. And you had some names like Brandon Knight, Chevy Troutman. These dudes were at Pitt for 3-4 years, and you just grew accustomed to those guys, and you associated the Pitt brand with them, and they were there for a longer amount of time.
See,
yeah,
you're forgetting the best one, Chris Taft.
Yeah. Oh, I remember. I remember him. Yep, I remember him. Went to the NBA. Yeah.
He was pretty good.
He was awesome. But yeah, when you have guys in the college system on their college teams for a little bit, you're able to, I guess, build that just relationship with the fan and the player and the team. Where if you only have these guys going in for 1 year, there's no attachment there. So I think maybe you pointed to it. That could be the thing that's missing in college hoops here.
Well, I think it also would eliminate some of the talk about paying student athletes, because once you start getting agents involved and you start paying, player A but not player B, then it becomes a problem within. So why not just allow those guys, hey, if you're good enough, go ahead on, because now player 8 thinks he should be paid because player A is getting paid, and that's not the value. And, a lot of kids going to get the wrong message.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely understand that. Now, what do you feel is the biggest challenge to coaching at the collegiate level?
Overcoming the parents.
Why do I hear this all the time?
And here's why I say that. It's so challenging because you got so many parents out here who try to live their life through their kids. And, they don't allow their kids to grow up and become men. And, when they drop them off at your school, they want you to do what they couldn't do in 19 plus years. They want you to start disciplining them now all of a sudden. But they haven't been disciplined for 19 years. Right. So now we got to break them in. That's one of the big reasons why we try to bring the freshmen in the summertime, because we want to try to get them acclimated to the university. You want to get them acclimated to your rules and regulations, because, as you're a superstar in a little small town, you might not have to go to class as much as coming to Boston College, where, the academics are tough. You got to go to every class. And, the coaches, they can't spend, 10 hours a day tracking you and making sure you get to class. You got to be disciplined enough to go to class on your own. So it's kind of like initiation process.
Now, have you had a biggest learning lesson? You talked about biggest challenge. Has there been some type of lesson that you've learned and maybe you've stuck with over the years that always comes to mind throughout your just coaching career?
Probably my biggest learning lesson has been, when you're out recruiting, the kids who've been to 3 and 4 high schools, normally when they get to college, they're going to go to multiple schools.
Really? Well, is that
pattern early?
Yeah, is that just based off
the pattern
the past?
that they've already? That's a pattern that
they're looking for the best situation.
Well, you look at it, and what I call it is running from a challenge. Anytime they get challenged, they run. They got to run to a different situation and blame, somebody else instead of saying, "All right, I got a challenge ahead of myself. Bring the challenge on." They don't want to be challenged, so they run. That's why you look at the newspapers and you say, "Well, there's 2,000 kids transferring." How about, okay, player A beat me out, but I'm going to outwork him this summer, and I'm going to get better and beat him out.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the way I was taught how to do it.
See, you're from the right era, baby, because I'm with you. I'm over here like, it was no option to transfer. It was, all right, you want to get your spot, you want that playing time, you better put that work in and beat them out. Yes.
It's like, growing up in D.C., like when you went to the basketball court, it was so many people to come to the courts. You had to go out there and win.
Yeah.
To stay on the court, or you're going to be sitting for a couple hours.
Yeah.
So you learn how to be competitive.
Absolutely. Now, you've coached at both major Division I universities along with some mid-major programs. So just talk about what goes into the thought process when you're deciding between the different styles of programs that you're going to coach at.
Well, it all depends on the head coach and what his philosophies are. And, the kids that you recruit, you try to facilitate your offense or defense accordingly to the kids that you recruit. If you got 10 gazelles out there, you want to be trying to press and make the game a little faster. If you got, 3 or 4 big plotters out there, you want to try to slow the game down. So it's according to your personnel.
And now with the recruiting, I guess, faced the way it is right now, like you talked about a little bit with the AAU, we talked about with the one and dones. How challenging is that sometimes, especially in the ACC? Because if you're at a mid-major, the players that you're looking for are different than at the ACC level. So how challenging has that become for you now?
Well, the crazy thing about the ACC is every kid come to the ACC think they're going to play in the NBA until they walk on that court and they say, okay, I got a lot of work to be done. It is different. You talk about the best league in the world, man. I mean, these kids, this ACC is pretty good. It's pretty competitive from team 1 to team 15.
I mean, for decades it's been like that too, man. For decades it's been like that.
I mean, when you think about the ACC basketball, you think about the SEC football.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, it's a similar comparison, when you start talking about, national championships and Final Fours, that ACC is always in the mix.
Yes, sir.
One of the teams, and it ain't always Duke or Carolina.
Very true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
Virginia.
Yeah. UVA definitely a step up.
I mean, you look at Florida State this past year. Florida State won the regular season outright.
Absolutely, man. The ACC definitely is competitive, like you said, top to bottom. And it's just crazy when you, like you said, the different schools. I mean, 1 or 2 years is NC State making noise. You're just like, man, where did this team even come from right now?
Well, I'll give you this right here. And you can probably look back, when Pittsburgh and Syracuse were in the Big East. Pittsburgh, Boston College, Pittsburgh and Syracuse, just take those two programs, for example, they were dominating in the Big East.
Yeah.
Those were probably two of the most prominent programs in the Big East.
Looking back to DeJuan Blair, what was it? Oh, my goodness, Flynn. Johnny Flynn, like, man, they definitely had some guys. Like, it was crazy.
No, Big East might have been back then what ACC is now when you combine like Georgetown, You had UConn at their prime too. There was some great, there was
Carmelo, Syracuse as well.
Yeah, there was at some point there was like 7 or 8 teams coming out of the Big East for I don't know. It was like a 4 or 5 year stretch. It was just insane in like the mid 2000s.
Well, 2 years ago we had 9.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. ACC's definitely got that right now, 100%.
No,
No.
I mean, you look at last year. University of North Carolina finished where they finished. We'll probably never see that in history again. But just to think how good the league is. I mean, we're talking about probably 1, 2, 3 most prominent storybook program in the country.
Oh, no question.
Finished last.
And it's crazy too to think like how something like that could happen at a UNC when you look at the success that they've had, and you always assume that they're going to have the best team. I mean, in terms of talent, top to bottom. So how could they fall off and have that type of season?
I mean, well, they got the best of the best, but also, you know, I told anybody you always one injury away. You know, you look at our team 2 years ago, we jumped out to 11-2 start, and Winston Tabbs tore his knee up, and it just changed the whole dynamics of the team.
Yeah, I definitely see how that could happen.
Yeah.
Now I got a question.
Kid averaging 15 a game. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, now with the new image and likeness rule with the NCAA, where players and just student athletes can start profiting off their image and likeness, do you have any concerns with that? Is there anything about that, I guess, policy that excites you?
Well, it doesn't excite me, but I also don't have a problem with it. If a kid, you know, let's use Zion Williams. If a kid like Zion Williams is lucky enough to market himself and profit off it, God bless him, you know. And I think he'd be rewarded. I mean, you know, the jersey sales and, you know, stuff like that, those kids should profit off it.
Yeah, we were talking about that last podcast. We definitely agree with that.
Especially when we saw the whole like Reggie Bush and OJ Mayo being back reinstated with UNC. It just got that conversation back started again.
Right. And you got to look at the NCAA rules. You know, these guys got the programs got in trouble, and now they implemented the same rule that these guys got in trouble for. I mean, it just don't make sense.
Now, which do you prefer coaching? Do you prefer being a head coach, because we've seen that you were a head coach in the AAU ranks, or do you prefer being the assistant coach that you've been for most of your career?
I mean, obviously, if I'm lucky enough to become a head coach, I would prefer to be a head coach. But you know, I like working for Jim Christian here at Boston College. You know, he's one of the best basketball minds in the country.
I like that.
Understood.
Like that.
Can't complain.
No question. And now, just talking a little bit too, you talked about how you've coached in the AAU circuit. And we see, I think it was the DC Assault. I mean, you know, the amount of players that have come through there. How different of an experience is it for you coaching in the AAU realm versus your traditional high school or the collegiate vein?
Well, the AAU, when you take a kid out on an AAU trip as opposed to a high school, you're taking them in front of 100 college coaches, as opposed to his high school team where he may see 5 college coaches come to a game the whole year. So, you know, these kids, they go to these AAU events and there's 100 coaches lined up on the baseline, on both baselines, you know, waiting to watch them play. So that gives those AAU coaches a lot of power, because that's what the kids want. They want to be recruited. They want to be seen. And these kids, they want that platform. And the AAU coaches are giving them the platform to play in front of these coaches, as opposed to the high school where we all know, you know, the high school coaches spend more time with the kids, but they just don't have the same platform.
Gotcha. That's a lot of power. Gosh.
Yeah.
Now, you've had the opportunity also to coach in the NCAA tournament multiple times. So, I mean, and I want to say it was 2013 and 14 with Delaware, and then obviously in 95, 96 with VCU. So just talk about, man, what's it like coaching in March Madness?
I tell any kid, it's the most incredible experience from the time that you get off the plane. Well, actually from the time you leave the school, because from the time you leave the school where, you're walking out to your bus and there's the marching bands out there playing and, the police escorts to the airport. I mean, it's just a different feel. And it's a feel that, every kid should experience it, because, I mean, you want to show your kids, hey, man, I was at the NCAA tournament and here's what happened. You want to be able to talk about those experiences. It would be like, when you play with the Steelers, you guys going to the playoffs.
It's nothing like it.
It's nothing like
it. It's nothing like it, man.
It's a whole different atmosphere.
Yes, indeed.
And, you go to the hotels, they selling all your paraphernalia, and, it's just a lot of people around, and, everybody for the same team. I mean, it's a fun time.
Absolutely. I tell people all the time, man, playoffs, food tastes better, the lights look better, your uniform fit nicer, everything look good.
Check better.
Absolutely.
Check better.
Everything is better with his playoffs, man. Everything.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, indeed. Now, going into this next season, man, with Boston College, what are a couple of things you're looking to accomplish?
Well, we want to improve on last year, and the biggest thing with us has just been staying healthy. My 3 years here at Boston College, we've been hampered each year by one significant major player getting injured. And if we could just ever have all our guys on the court at the same time, I think we have a chance, take that next step. But we haven't been fortunate enough to keep everybody on the court at the same time.
Okay.
So that's probably key for us, is just staying healthy.
I like it. And shoot, we could talk about that here in Pittsburgh. You saw how the Steelers were affected, man, when Big Ben got hurt. So
that's right.
We are with you 1,000% on health. And now we talked about just, how much you've been coaching, your different experiences, and how long you've been doing it. What's your favorite coaching moment of your career, though?
Oh, probably. I got a really, really funny story.
Nice.
Okay, here we go.
So I'm working at West Virginia. It's my first year at West Virginia. And, Coach Catlett is a legend, back in West Virginia. And we flying out of Pittsburgh. We get down to North Carolina. And he asked me, he says, Coach, man, we got to find a great restaurant to go to. So, we call this guy tell us about this barbecue restaurant. It's a really famous barbecue restaurant. And, we go to the restaurant. And when we get into the restaurant, Coach Catlett, bless his heart, he see 4 old ladies on the right. It was 4 black old ladies on the right. They were all probably in the upper 70s. And he walks over and he says, hey, ladies, you guys mind if I take your tab? And the ladies was like, oh, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you. So he, and then he goes to the opposite side where there's 4 white ladies, older white ladies. And he does the exact same thing. He goes over, he said, ladies, this is your lucky day. I want to take your tab. And they all, oh, Sonny, can I give you a kiss? Can I give you a hug? And I'm just sitting back. And I'm like, man, Coach he's an unbelievable nice guy. So we finish our meal and we walk up to the counter and Coach pulls out his credit card and the guy says, oh, we don't take credit cards.
Wow. Wow.
Sick. Oh man.
Luckily that morning I had took out some cash.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, I saved his butt.
Yo, that's funny.
That's probably one of the best stories ever for me. And so we get in the car and I tell his wife, oh, she is cracking up.
Yeah, he was feeling big time, man. I got y'all, man. I'm gonna pay for this. I'm gonna pay for that.
He, did a great deed for the day. I did a great deed.
That's awesome. Funny. I like it. I like it. Well, well, Chris, man, we definitely appreciate you taking some time out to get on the podcast with us, man. Definitely meant a lot to us. And we wish you nothing but the best, man, this upcoming season, man. So hopefully you guys stay healthy, man. Y'all get those things rolling, man, and stay safe, all right?
I appreciate your time, and thank you guys, and good luck to you.
No problem.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
All right. Be blessed.